The desert sun was sinking low, painting the sky in shades of burning orange as Cowboy. Ryder Cole rode across the wide-open Arizona canyon, his horse kicking dust behind him. He had been riding alone for days, following whispers of a hidden treasure that could change his fate forever, an Apache artifact said to hold ancient power. The wind was hot against his skin, and the land was so silent he could hear his own heartbeat. Until suddenly, the ground trembled. A thunderous vibration rolled beneath his boots as he stopped his horse. Rocks tumbled from a high sandstone cliff, and the shadow that fell across him was so massive it turned the world dark. Ryder's breath caught in his chest as he slowly raised his eyes. There before him, stepping into the dying light like a creature sculpted by the mountains themselves, stood a woman unlike any he had ever seen. Tall as a tree, bigger, her hair braided with feathers, her arms wrapped in markings that glowed faintly like embers. The Giantess Apache Woman, Nayeli Skyfire. Her voice rumbled like thunder, shaking the canyon itself. "Turn back, Cowboy. You can't handle even my shadow. You are not meant for this place. Any other man would have run." But Ryder was not any man. He slid off his horse, dusted his hat, and looked up, way up, at her towering form. "Ma'am," he said, steady and calm, "I didn't come all this way just to give up, 'cause someone told me I ain't got what it takes." Nayeli's golden eyes narrowed. She stepped closer, and each step made the ground crack open like lightning. Her shadow swallowed him whole. "You stand in a land of spirits and forgotten blood. Men died here before your kind even learned to hold a gun. Do you know where your boots rest, outsider?" Ryder didn't flinch. On a place worth fighting for. For a moment, silence. Only wind, only breath. Nayeli's stare pierced him like a spear, testing him, measuring him. The canyon itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. She lifted her spear, longer than his horse, and pointed toward the mountains. "Then you will be judged. And if your spirit is weak, the desert will take you." Ryder nodded once. "Let it try." Nayeli did not speak another word. She simply turned, the beads in her braids rattling like distant bones, and walked. Ryder followed on foot, leading his horse by the reins, unsure if he was approaching salvation or doom. They entered a narrow passage between red stone cliffs, where strange markings were carved, symbols of spirits, battles and things too ancient for books to remember. Every step deeper felt colder, as though the air itself became thick with memories that did not belong to him. At the end of the passage, the walls opened into a hidden valley, a place untouched by time. Tall stone pillars stood like guardians, each tied with feathers and painted with blood-red dye. A fire burned in the center, though no one was there to tend it. Yet Ryder felt eyes, many, watching him from a world beyond flesh. The Apache giantess stopped before the flames, turning her gaze toward the smoking peak of a mountain rising beyond the valley. She spoke, voice softer but carrying more weight than thunder. "Before any man may claim what he seeks, he must be tested by the fire mountain. Only those whose spirits refuse to break can face it. Outsiders who came before you screamed before they died." Ryder swallowed the dryness in his throat. "Why do you guard it?" She did not answer instantly. Instead, she touched her chest, where markings glowed beneath her skin, faint as dying embers. "Because this mountain is not only treasure, it is truth, and truth has a price." Without warning, the ground rumbled and split open in the earth before him. A path of blackened rock formed, a bridge carved by something unseen, leading straight toward the mountain. Ryder sensed that if he turned back, the path would vanish, and his chance would be lost forever. He let go of his horse and stepped forward. His boots met scorching stone. Heat climbed through his bones like living fire. Lava rivers pulsed beneath him, casting red light across his sweat-soaked skin. Boulders cracked, spirits rose like smoke, warriors without faces, circling him, whispering warnings in a language he did not know. One step, then another, breath burning, muscles screaming. But surrender was never built into him. He pushed forward, heart pounding, until he reached a stone door etched with ancient carvings. Behind him the spirits faded, the heat died, and Ryder stood alive. Far away, Nayeli watched, shock flickering in her golden eyes. No human had ever made it that far. Night descended slowly, like a veil being lowered over the world. Ryder stood at the entrance of the fire mountain, his body aching, clothes torn, heat still clinging to his skin like a second layer. As he stepped out onto cooler ground, he saw her, Nayeli, waiting alone beneath a sky where the stars blazed brighter than any city lights. The wind lifted strands of her raven-black hair, and for the first time, Ryder noticed something beneath her strength, an exhaustion, a loneliness, a burden. She did not stare at him with the same fiery challenge as before. Instead, her golden bright eyes softened with something almost human. "You survived," she whispered. The tone did not hold disbelief, but fear. Ryder set his hands on his knees, breathing hard. "Wasn't easy," he said, attempting a smile, "but I'm still standing." Silence stretched between them. Not hostile, heavy. Finally, she turned her gaze toward the moon, perched above the canyon peaks. "No one has stood where you stand in over 100 years, because none could face the mountain. But strength alone isn't what it requires." She paused, jaw tight. "It demands a heart unbroken by fear, one willing to lose everything." Ryder frowned. "You say that like you've lost too much." Nayeli's hands curled into fists, and glowing cracks of light appeared along her arms, pulsing like the heartbeat of a beast trapped beneath skin. Her voice grew low, heavy with old sorrow. "You think my size is power. You think my height makes me untouchable. But I was not born a giant. I was made one." Her words echoed through the valley. Ryder stared, stunned. "A curse? A spell?" She continued, breathing slowly as though the memories themselves choked her. "Long ago I trusted a man, a shaman of my tribe, a protector. I believed he loved me. I believed he would guard our people. But envy is poison, and I became his sacrifice." She pressed a palm to her chest. Beneath her skin, symbols glowed faintly: spiral, claw, flame, marks made not by nature but by hands. "He cursed me," said. "No woman could wield power unless she bore the body of a monster. And I would remain this way, until a warrior proved equal to the strength he said I never deserved." Ryder stepped closer, not afraid. "Why didn't you break it yourself?" She looked at him, pain shining raw. "Because to break a curse, one must believe someone else sees worth in them. I've never had anyone stay long enough." Ryder swallowed, feeling the desert tighten around them. "Well, maybe that just changed." Nayeli did not answer, but the wind carried her unspoken hope. The wind turned sharp as a knife, sweeping across the sacred valley, turning the quiet night into a restless whisper. Shadows stretched across the stones like claws reaching for the living. Ryder felt it before he saw it. The air grew colder, thinner, like something ancient was drawing breath. Nayeli stiffened, every muscle tightening as her gaze drifted toward the far ridge of the canyon. Her voice dropped to barely a breath. "He is waking." And then the ground shook. From the black mouth of a cave carved into the mountain's rib, a shape emerged. Cloaked in wolfskin, feathers rattling like bones tied to a corpse, stood the Black Wolf Shaman, the very man who cursed her, his eyes glowing with a sickening silver hunger. His presence felt as if death itself had learned to walk. "You dare let another survive my trial?" His voice slithered, neither echo nor whisper, something colder. Nayeli stepped forward, her giant form towering, blocking him from Ryder like a living wall. "You have taken enough from me," she said, her voice trembling but steady. "Tonight it ends." The shaman lifted his staff, carved from a human spine, crowned by a snarling wolf skull. Dark smoke erupted like venom, swirling into spectral forms, ghost wolves, skeletal warriors, claws of shadow rising to consume the earth. Ryder's hand flew instinctively to his holster, only to find his gun useless against creatures that weren't flesh. But fear wasn't enough to make him back down. Ryder stepped past Nayeli, voice hard. "I don't need steel to fight you." The shaman stared at him as though he were an insect, daring to shout at thunder. "You think you stand for her? Fool. Humans break. They run, they betray, just as I once did." Ryder clenched his fists. "Maybe, but she still stands. And now, so do I." The spirits lunged. Ryder threw himself into the chaos, using his grit, instinct, and raw strength. He dodged, swung, and fought like a man who'd lived his whole life inside hardship. He grabbed a loose stone, rough, jagged, and shattered the glowing totem tied to the shaman's belt. The crack echoed like lightning splitting the sky. The shaman screamed, magic rupturing, his smoke wolves burning away like ash in wind. Light burst upward, engulfing the canyon, forcing Ryder to shield his eyes. When it faded, silence. He looked up, and Nayeli was no longer a giant. She stood before him, a woman, her true form, strong, fierce human tears reflecting starlight. She looked at Ryder, like someone who had been drowning for years and finally came up for air. "You proved me wrong," she whispered. "You handled even my curse." Ryder gave a tired, crooked smile. "Guess we're stronger together." Behind them, dawn began to break, and a new journey waited.